Hi, my name is Darkoa Sekyiamah. I'm an African feminist, a writer, the author of The Sex Lives of African Women. I am also co-founder of Massy Media, which brings together adventures from the bedrooms of African women, a blog, festival, and podcast. So, Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women have been holding live festivals on the theme of sex and sexualities for the past 5 years. This is actually our fifth edition. And for this year, we chose the theme of Sexual Utopia, Compelling Freedom and Liberation for two reasons. Utopia. We want to imagine a world where everybody is free to be who they are, regardless of their gender identity, their sexuality, whether they come from a marginalized background, whether they are disabled, whether, we just want a world where everybody is free and happy. And compelling freedom and liberation inspires us to imagine what freedom and liberation truly looks like, but also how do we make freedom and liberation happen, right? So it's not utopian, but it's actually present. And also because we wanted to create a sexual utopia, we wanted to create a space where, even if it's for only a moment of time, people feel free and they feel free to be and they can be in conversation with each other about sex and sexuality, topics we are often told are taboo and not to be spoken about in public. So increasingly across the world today, not just on the African continent, we have seen far-right actors organize to push back against gains that feminists and queer people have made over decades, right? And we see a lot of these gains being threatened. And so I feel like for that reason alone, it is even more important to be able to gather as feminists, as queer people, as people who believe in human rights, to imagine a world where we are all free, and to be in a world of our own creation, to speak with one another, to talk, to laugh, to play, to have fun, to discuss serious issues, to discuss life issues. And for me, that's like a really, really important reason why this space and other sex positive spaces need to be supported and maintained. It's a space for people to be free. Some people say, you have no idea how much I needed this weekend. I've had people say that to me so many times. Just a space where you're not worried about other people judging you. You can be yourself. You can dress how you want to dress. You can express yourself. You can speak to those thoughts that you never are able to share with anybody else. You know, I always say that everything I do is Pan-African. When we started Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women, because I am Ghanaian and because my co-founder is part Ghanaian, people assumed it's a Ghanaian blog. And I always correct them. It is not a Ghanaian blog. It is an African blog. I am a Pan-Africanist. Everything I do is about Pan-Africa. And we don't only speak English, we speak so many languages. Of course, because of colonization, our dominant languages are English, French, Portuguese. And I knew that for this festival to be truly Pan-African, we have to speak in multiple languages. And so this is only a first step, right? And for the very first time ever this year, the festival is bilingual, where we have had some speakers speak in French. We've had guests who only speak French, and we've had interpretation and translation throughout. So not just here at the festival, but in the blog posts we've done and the Instagram live conversations, we can be better. This is only a start. We are just beginning. And it's important for us to also learn from each other, right? And so we have to learn across languages. And so I hope in future, the festival will not just be bilingual, but multilingual, where we can have people speaking Swahili, where we can have people speaking Portuguese. And of course, this all takes money. Can I shout out Estelle and say they in particular are supporting the Francophone part of this festival? Other donors also came on board to support specifically Francophone participation. And I hope we can continue to learn and do better, because language, the issue of language is really important. It's political, and you exclude people when you only speak in one language, usually the language of your colonizer. It's important because, frankly, there's no other space like this, right? It is increasingly harder in our countries to organize, to come together as queer people. In Ghana, for example, when we started this festival, the first two editions were in person. And, the majority of our audience are young queer people because they don't have space where people talk to them about their own sexuality or even acknowledge that sexuality exists. Whereas as adventures, we recognize sexuality as a spectrum. So when we're speaking about sex and sexuality, we're not speaking about heterosexual sex. We're speaking about all types of sex, all types of sexualities, right? And in the third year of the festival, that's when the infamous Whole 21 incident happened. And 21 queer activists got arrested simply for attending paralegal training. And so, as a working group, the working group for the festival that year felt it was not safe to meet physically, and we held a virtual festival. That actually saddened me. In a way, we recognized there was we did what we could. We mobilized and used virtual reality. So we met online using virtual reality tools as opposed to just Zoom. That was an innovation, because I think as feminists and queer people, we always innovate and find a way. But then also the dream had always been to make the festival Pan-African. So in the fourth year, we came here, we partnered with Cars Entertainment. They had a similar festival, The Spread. And we said, let's bring our resources together and have one big festival a year instead of our two separate festivals in different countries. And we're here for our fifth year. It's been wonderful. We're looking to head to a Francophone country next. And the goal is for this festival to travel throughout the continent. We will spend 3 years in each place. Hopefully, embed the idea of this festival. Hopefully, carries on even when we have left. And yes, we want to, travel around the continent, speaking to people who are like-minded, people who are young, who are old, anybody interested in this conversation about sexual rights, freedom, and liberation. Oh, my sexual utopia is being in a place like this, being in nature, being in a space where people feel free to be themselves, being in a space where people can talk about sex and sexuality and pleasure, being in a space where people can both learn and unlearn, and just, feel free to be. This is my sexual utopia. This festival is my sexual utopia. I want to say, join us. We have this festival every year. We have an Instagram page called Sexual Utopia. Also, I mentioned earlier, Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women. We will always post about the upcoming events, and it's open to everybody. This year, what has also made me happy is we've had people flying themselves from different parts of the continent. So everybody's welcome to join us, as long as you come and you respect the rights of everybody who is here.